Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Hey gang, it's Lou. Another week, another model. Supposed to be working on Grissom this week. It's Monday. It's also a holiday, no mail today. So no mail today, no Grissom today. So hopefully Grissom tomorrow, but who knows. It's going to be a weird week, I'll give you that much up front. Tomorrow I've got some more work being done on the house, so I'm going to be in and out and very distracted. Wednesday there may be a bit of a road trip on tap, so may not be doing anything on Wednesday. Well, it'll all shake out. It's just one of those I want to warn you up front type of things. Of course, by the time you've seen this, the week has already happened, so take that message from an old time traveler. This is way back on Monday. This is how the week started. So I am going to do something work on something that I've had for a while. That's a real quickie thing it was the project that I was keeping under wraps, but since Steve went and yapped about it, I feel I've asked him about it. He said, yeah, it's okay to talk about it, but load up on the disclaimers. So I'm going to load up on the disclaimers. What I've got here, well, let me show you. Let's just go down to the table. Okay, what I've got here may look familiar to you, but you may not recognize it at this particular scale. This is the forthcoming Lost in Space Chariot that is going to be made by Doll & Hobby Inc. And it is 1/32 scale. It is smaller than the Mobius Chariot, but it is also larger than the Chariot that's in the Chariot and Cyclops kit. So why another Chariot? Well, what do what's the big deal? Why do we need another Chariot? It's a perfectly reasonable question. Why do we need another Chariot? Because this is 1/32 scale. Why is that important? Well, because that means it is in scale with your Jupiter 2. Finally, there is a in scale thing if you want to make a diorama. And what this is, now it's been simplified since the original. I've already started working on things because that was one of my happy tasks. Was Steve sent me this test shot, and he wanted my opinion on some things. He wanted me to take a look at it, suggest anything that might need to be suggested. Now here's where the disclaimers come in. This is not final. What you're seeing here is a test shot. Things have been changed since then, so don't look at something and start whining about it. This is wrong, this is right, this is up, this is down. It don't matter, because this is a test shot. The appropriate notes have been made. They've been forwarded back to the powers that be. The powers that be have either decided to fix them or not. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not building the final kit. I will be building the final kit sooner or later. But this is a test shot. You will notice, for example, I will point this out. There are ejection pins here. You will see that has been fixed. This itself has not been polished. It is opaque because the tooling has not been polished. Again, we're going to go back into the what happens when you engineer a model type of thing, when you're making a model. Well, you make a mold. They have a mold called a tooling. The tooling is where you have big chunks of aluminum or magnesium or whatever they're using, and they carve out with very precise tools, hence the word tooling, the cavity for which they will inject the styrene. Like I said, that is the most expensive portion of the entire build, is that tooling. Well, once you have the tooling approved, it gets polished. Now, polishing is another expensive, labor-intensive thing that you don't want to do. You don't want to waste your time polishing a bad tool. So you wait till your tooling has been approved, and then you polish it. This was not approved, so henceforth it wasn't. This has not been polished yet. And what wasn't approved about it was the fact that when it gets ejected from the mold, or from the tool, it was putting these big old dimples in here, and that's an issue that has to be addressed. So that's why this is a reject. It has this big dimples, and I don't want anybody out there saying, "Lou, your Canopy's got big tooling marks in it." Yes, I know it does. So shush. Just enjoy the build as you see it. As I've said, all of this is up for grabs. But what we've got in our kit is we've got a will, and if there's a will, there's a way. No, if there's a will, there's a robot. Yes, finally a 32nd scale robot. This could go in your Jupiter 2 if you wanted to. You could put this robot and this will in your Jupiter 2 in your diorama. You've also got a John, because you got to have a John. This is your John Robinson figure that sits in the driver's seat, as he should. And driver's seat goes on a post. John goes in the driver's seat. So there you go. Now I happen to think, and I've said it already, that looks a bit like Dr. Smith too. It doesn't look like Guy Williams so much. And I guess depending on how you painted it, you could either paint it to look like Guy Williams, or you could paint it to look like Jonathan Harris. That's up to you. I also, and again, this issue has been addressed. You'll notice that these chairs have seat belts on them. Well, I made the casual comment that you got to take the seat belt off of the seat that John is sitting in. So what happens if you make what would happen if you made a chair that did not have a seat belt in it? Well, the seat belts are part of the car, are part of the molding. And remember last week's issue? You'll remember last week, if you dare, that we talked about how it's easier to make multiple copies of the same tooling. This also has that wonderful bit of engineering where all the parts that are need to be duplicated are on one tool, and you make 2 copies of that tree, and you're good to go. So it was kind of I said, well, Steve, if you take the seat belt off of one seat on your tooling, then you could have the 2 seats up front have no seat belts and have the rest of these have seat belts. So it was a belt or no belt type of situation, and Steve got back to me and he said that he has opted to not have seat belts on any of them. Now, not having seat belts on any of them got my furious mind to worrying. Why would you do that? Well, if you have to take, and this is my own speculation, take it to the bank if you will. My own speculation is if there are ever any more figures introduced in the future, they would also have to have seats with no seat belts on them. So, it could happen. It could happen. There could be more figures in the future. I'm no psychic, but that would allow you to be able to use these chairs as well if they didn't have seat belts in them. Also, people who built the large Chariot, remember the problem they had with the tracks, with Mobius's tracks, the rubber that was used on them. Well, these aren't rubber; these are one piece, but they are more difficult to paint, being one piece. But this is basically all the wheels and the track are in one piece. Now I'm masking off. I've painted the rims of the hubs, which need to be white, and I'm masking those off so that I can paint the tires. But these will simply go. These will simply go here in one piece and then attach to the bottom of the tub there. Now, because this is smaller, we don't have some of the features that the larger Chariot has. We do not have opening doors. We do not have a bubble that slides back. We do not have the rubber treads. And, when you get down to this kit, this size, that you could really, not expect that. If you wanted to, if you were a mind tool and you had a very, very fine saw, you could probably cut those doors open. I tell you, I would be more tempted to cut the doors open and just replace it, you know, be as ragged as you need to be, and then just replace the door with clear sheet styrene rather than trying to save this bit of plastic. But that's me. I will tell you that I am not going to try to light this. There are no decals with it. I am not going to try to go overboard with the presentation of it because it's a test shot, and I know that once the actual commercial copy comes out, I will be building that, and I'll probably go overboard with the detailing, because there will probably be, I'm not going to speak for Paul, but there will probably be photo etch that will spice this up a bit. My concern when it comes to the painting of this is how to tackle these very fine lines. They're in scale, which means they are very slightly raised and they're very fine lines. So how do we take care of that? So that's going to be issue number one. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm starting to work on the treads, and it'll go together fairly quickly. It's just a question of pulling everything out, getting it base painted, and getting it ready to assemble. I'm not looking forward to it taking too many days, because once the Grissom gets here, I will be, you know, pushing this aside and jumping on the Grissom. I have a box coming from Steve that has the Grissom, the Hawk, and the Enterprise bridge in it. So Grissom comes first, and then Hawk. I also have, and it's going to be a photo finish to see which one gets here first. I also have a new order from Evans of SM LEDs coming in for the Grissom. So it's kind of a good thing that it's not here yet, because I don't have the lights to go in it. Alrighty, so I could go in now and remove the masks over the rims. It's kind of tough to see in there, but shine some light on it maybe. But you should be able to see the whites of their rims in there. And now if I put some sort of road grime in there, it will, whether that's an oil smudge or whatever, that'll give you a nice clean look. And I guess the next thing would be to attach the two of these to the central gearbox as it is. The central gearbox here. Masked these guys off and painted them. I need to put another coat on there, because the orange going over that silver is not a particularly strong color, and if I try to glop it all on to get it covered in one coat, then you run the risk of it being very runny. So it's best to build that up over two coats. So I was doing an experiment with a tiny 2-hair brush and some Molotow to see about just painting in the framework there, and I think it works. I was trying some elaborate masking, but really just doing it with a very, you know, steady hand, I think is going to work best. I still am kind of at a loss as to how to do the inside, though. I think I might have to go orange vinyl on that. But it's not much is coming along. And built up the robot a bit and started spraying some silver on the tread section. And it's built in such a way that you can do the twisty. And let's see, I would need to guess, I guess I need to get some purple paint out to do both John and Will, because they are in the oh so fashionable purple velour. He had a chip on his shoulder I needed to cut off there. Actually, it's just a bit of sprue, but same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not a horribly complicated kit, but still enough that you can have some fun with it. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, and I'm painting Purple People, and it sure is fine. Working on John and Will. It's so nice to be working with other colors for once. Yes, I mean, there's a lot of silver and a lot of orange and a lot of black on the Chariot. But beats all that silver I was working with last week and the black I was working with the week before. Just to have a little bit of color. And of course we're back to aluminums and darker colors for the robot here. But yeah, it's a lot of little tiny work. So I'm just throwing myself at it. Painting gauges and stuff. I've got to glue the tracks down to the bottom of the Chariot. They're not quite glued. And I'm still playing with options on the framework for the Canopy. This is all done with Molotow, and you can see the shine on it. I need to do something on the inside, so I'm going to start turning my attention to that in a minute. But it's coming together pretty quickly. There's not a lot to it. You just have to, you know, get your mind right and start at it. What was I doing? I was thinking there was a wonderful opportunity here for me to paint some orange. And shut up, you. And I have completely lost the plot here. Come back to it in a second. Well, huzzah, mail has come. It's new mail day, and this is what I'm expecting. This is the package from Evans Designs, which is all of the lighting that I needed stocked up on. And this is the big box from Steve at Cult TV Man, which will have the ever so hotly wanted Grissom and the Hawk in there, and maybe even my bridge kit model, which is something I've got on the back burner. But yay, I love new mail day. And as suspected, all three items are here. These will be built in the upcoming course. These two get worked on right away. The bridge will go in the back. I need to get some aftermarket stuff for that. But yeah, looking forward to jumping right onto these. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to push the Chariot aside and jump right on these. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, gateway to the weekend. Yes, you'll eagle-eared people will realize I did nothing on this yesterday. Yesterday I spent on the road. It was 4 hours, 4.5 hours out and 4.5 hours back, and about an hour in the middle, and I assure you it was no mercy mission this time. But that meant no work was done on the Chariot, so we're gonna try to double that up today and make up for lost time. What I'd like to do this morning is to finish up everything that goes on here, and that is the bumpers on the back, the spotlights. Not going to light anything up. Let's not get nuts here. But finish the detailing that goes on the base, and then put the curtains in, and that will leave just the top. And if we can start on that today, maybe finish it tomorrow, that would be great. And then we can get on with the next model. I had thought about, you know, just putting this in a box, moving it to the side, pulling out the Grissom, and starting on that. And then I thought to myself, no, because I know me, and to know yourself is the ultimate form of aggression, they've said. And I know me, and I would never get back to it. It would languish in that box, half built for eternity. So I need to finish it, and then I can approach the Grissom next week with a clear conscience, and I can also spend the weekend getting things ready to work on the Grissom. I've got all the parts here that I need. I just need to start working on getting the templates made for it. But that's neither here nor there. I want to get onto finishing the Chariot. So let's cut some rubber baby buggy bumpers. All right, I've got the bumper baby buggy bumpers on. I've got the little spotlights on. I've got the headlights on. I gotta tell you, painting those rims around the bezels, that is gonna be some tough work. It's in that limbo. It's too big to ignore, because you know normally if it was any smaller I'd say, well, just don't paint them. But it's too small to paint really well. So it's weird. It's in a weird limbo place, like I said. And I added some more color to those front grills. I have no doubt that the fine people at Paragraphics will be making etch for this. So don't think that's going to be the last word on these. I'm sure they will be replaced. But now it's curtains for the Robinsons. Yes, I've been waiting for that. Use that joke all week. It's curtains. It's time to put the curtains in, and it's a shame we've got John here instead of Don West, because if I had Don West, I could call him Don Draper. But no, it's the curtains. Time for the curtains to go in. And they just, unlike the larger version of this model where the smaller curtains attached to the inside of the door and you get that ugly glue mark, these they just peg into the, see, I did peg and Don, I'm on a madman kick. They just peg into the slots here on the two side bunks. And I broke the bottom of this one off. That's why it's not sitting right. Didn't mean to, it just happened. I was overzealous. I wonder if you can just be zealous enough. I've always heard people being overzealous, but never just zealous or underzealous. And of course the rifles go back here. It's a festival of black rifles on black bunks, but we've been through that before. And now it's time for all of these side curtains to go up. It's going to look strange without the canopy on it. I'm just test fitting them right now. Then I'll pull the glue out and re-glue them, because that's the thing about these test shots. You have to test everything, because you might find that the slot isn't quite opened up enough here. That's how I ended up breaking off a peg. I pushed it in there and the slot wasn't big enough for it. Since the last time you saw, I painted these on the inside and I painted this on the outside, and I thought it smelled bad on the outside, but that's what it looks like when you put all of the curtains in. So if I can get everything done with this today, that will leave nothing but everything that I need to do on the canopy for tomorrow, and then we can put this in the done column. Now, there's one thing I noticed on these pegs, and that was that some of them seem to have a slant on them, and I'm wondering if they were meant that way. Again, please do not take what you're seeing here as a finished product. It is not. Well, good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week, and hopefully the last work day on this Chariot. Playing around with what I'm going to do on the canopy today, because I'm mostly happy. I'm very happy, but I mean mostly happy with the interior of the bottom part of the Chariot. Now, again, not the finished kit, so I can't really judge the what the finished kit's going to look like based on this. But you can see I got all the little bumpers in and all the little searchlights and stuff. And what I said yesterday still remains true today. It is in the painting of all of these tiny details that your Chariot is really going to shine. And if you don't have a tiny paintbrush at hand, you best go get one, because you're going to need it. And that's going to make all the difference when it comes to how this kit gets finished, is how steady of a tiny detailed painting hand you have. I could have told you maybe a few years ago I'd have been better at this than I am lately. I don't know what it is, other than simple aging, that has caused my steadiness to go off the rails lately. So we are going to make the best of what the tools at hand will let us do. So we're going to set that aside, and we're going to concentrate on the canopy today. Now, the first thing I did this morning was to run off some some strips of vinyl in orange. Hush you! I'm going to just turn you off because I'm not going to need you for a while. Thank you very much. I've cut stripes in orange vinyl of varying widths to see what is going to be the best alternative to painting the canopy or the framework on the inside. On the outside, I hand painted the stripes with the silver paint because that's easy to get to. On the inside, it would be nigh on impossible with given my level of coordination. I'm sure there are others out there that would delight in making me look like a liar because they have much greater dexterity than that. But what I am planning on doing is putting orange vinyl on the inside to simulate the orange framework. Now I want to go as fat as possible with this orange vinyl for one important reason. The fatter the orange vinyl is, the more adhesive is on it. I should probably be doing some of this in camera. The fat, like I said, the fatter it is, the more adhesive is on it, because that's the problem in a nutshell right there. Is yes, you can lay down thin vinyl, you can bend it around to all kinds of interesting shapes. However, if you use really thin vinyl, there's not a lot of adhesive on it, and you want it to stick more than anything. And what I'm trying to do is make the get a line of a strip of vinyl that is fatter than the raised silver or the raised outside framework, so that you can see it from the outside. Because basically what you want to do is you want to have a fatter, there you go, a fatter line on the inside that you can, well, let me just show you. If I put a fat piece of orange vinyl, and doing all this with the camera running is a real treat, that helps the silver on the outside show up better. That's the whole reason for that. Plus the framework on the Chariot was kind of a T-shaped framework, where the orange inside frame was wider than, and then the glass set into that, and then it had a thin silver strip on the outside to hold the glass in place. So I think that strip might be a good solution there. I might even want to go fatter than that. Ooh, that would be fun. If I can go fatter, then that opens up all kinds of possibilities, and this will stick better. The more vinyl that there is, the easier it will to stick. So let me continue doing this on the inside. Yeah, okay, hold on. If I do that, cut it off there, and then put 2 strips of that around the door, because there would be the frameworks are double, where the door frame, or where the door hits the frame here, it's actually twice the width, because you have the width of the framework and then you have the width of the framework of the door. Even though these doors do not open, oh, I think that's going to work. I think that just might work. And trust me, doing this is going to be a lot friendlier to your jangled nerves than it will be to try to paint that. Yeah, okay, let me turn the camera off so the pressure is off of me, and then I can finishes up, see how it looks. And here we go. We've got the finished inside orange framed. Now I used fatter vinyl for these four going down the side because those represent the door frames, so they're doubled up. Ooh, I need to trim this last one. I forgot to trim the bottom of it. It is essential when you are doing this that you have a very sharp new blade in your X-Acto, because you just want to cut straight through it without going through the too many layers. But there you go. And how close you can get in on that. But that's the look you're aiming for, where you can see silver but a little bit of orange on either side of it. That's probably the best example right there. So I didn't do any around the bottom perimeter, this bottom edge here, because of the way it attaches to the body of the Chariot. It's kind of a difficult thing to do there, but by the time you get the tabs in, there you go. There you go. You see how it matches up around this jigsaw pattern-y type of thing, or sawtooth pattern. Just push it in on the side. But there you go. There's your orange frame on your 32 scale Chariot. Next thing to do is to get the luggage rack put on here, and you'll ask yourself, and it's a perfectly understandable question. You'll ask yourself, well, why didn't Lou just do a chrome tape on the outside instead of painting that? Well, the truth is, I tried. I cut this real thin chrome strips on this silver, and the same thing is going to happen if you use Tamiya tape that comes in a silver roll like this. What happens is it does not want to stick long enough. I mean, you'll start it, but it does not want to stay on these bent angles. There's just not enough adhesive on the back of it. It'll stay on the straight strips, the straight runs. Stays on those just fine. But what it won't do is it won't lay down over the curves for very long. I tried it. That was my first thought. But it stays for about a week, and then it starts popping up, which, if you're fine with fixing it every week, I suppose you could do. But it's not as user-friendly as you think it might be. Now, I suppose you could. Let me see if I did that. And then wrapped it over top, because the one thing you don't want to have to end up doing is gluing it down with like a CA or something, because then you're in a world of hurt, because you're using CA on a clear styrene piece, which means it's going to frost it, and that's nobody's friend. The only other option is to tape the end down and then wrap it with the next piece. But then you've got these little weird jogs of angle. See, and it doesn't want to, whether how well you're seeing that. Right there. It will want to spring back up because it's so stiff. So if we could find a way somehow of increasing the amount of adhesive on the back of these, then we might have something. But see what happens, that it's just so stiff, it won't stay down to the it's fine on the straightaways, but it won't stay down when it comes to wrapping around the rounded corners. So it's not the solution that you'd hope it to be. For that, we're just going to have to go back to the trusty paint. So the last thing to do is work on this luggage rack, and then we can set the whole puppy aside. Let's see, we've got these little spotlights here that need to go up on the roof. And then there's handles that attach to the insides of those. Again, you can make yourself nuts trying to paint the silver framework around the bezels. Yeah, this is one place where attention to the large kit, or devotion to the large kit, and replicating all of the parts of that come in handy. And I have seemed to have misplaced my nippers. Here are my nippers. I'm painting up the luggage rack. Now, if there is anything that can be improved with photo etch, this luggage rack is it. And truth be told, even in the larger version of this, the luggage rack was mostly replaced with photo etch, and particularly the floor of it. This piece has no floor, so that's really something that can be used, improved by some photo etch. So I'm just going to paint the straps in. I'm not going to get nuts with trying to make any sort of custom luggage. When I did my larger one, I did some scratch-built luggage. But again, because this is the test shot and we don't know what's final and what isn't, I'm not going to get too worked up over any details here until I see the actual kit. So we've got the side ladders on now. Easier to see probably in 3/4 view than straight on, but the ladders are on both sides. Got the spotlights on the top. Got the compressor making noise. Gonna turn that thing off again. There's a little bit of silver I need to do some touchy touches on some of the outer framework. I've got all of those inner crank handles or big handles in. That'll all sit on top of, well, you can't see it because I don't have it in the frame. This guy right here. There you go. Let's angle it down some. There you go. This guy is all but done. I want to put some sort of griming on the white. Those are white hubcaps. That's proper and canon and all of that. But I do need to gunk those up a little bit because that's the first place that you would be catching road grime and mud if you were driving this any length of time. Although I have to imagine that the Robinsons probably treat the Chariot much like a fire engine is treated by, firemen, and that it is kept clean and washed down most of the time, water permitting. So it's got some stray hairs in here. Let's clean those out. But we're almost ready to close this up and call it a done thing. It is getting into about lunchtime on a Friday, so I'm going to do up a bunch of I just did up a bunch of glue that I want to have be drying over lunch, and then we'll come back and do some final touch-up work, and we'll be ready to send this off on its merry way. And this is it. This is the finish. There you have it. With all of the usual caveats and disclaimers and fine print associated with it. This is not the final model. The canopy will be clear. It will not have the injection marks on it. Several other things will be changed. But here you go. Now, I was, knowing that I'll be doing this again, I was not taking this one to the 9th degree, or the nth degree, as far as even trying to put any sort of lighting or anything like that in it. When the actual kit comes out, then I'll get real excited about finishing it off. But for right now, this is where we are going to leave this wee chariot with wee Will Robinson and wee robot and wee John Robinson inside. And I just grabbed this base out of the other room because it looked better than sitting it on the cutting mat. But I kind of like it. It fits. So, can't wait to see what the final one looks like. But another thing about having a 32 scale inch scale, a 32 1/32 scale chariot here is now I could park it next to the Galileo shuttle and they'll both be in scale. I could put Will Robinson in the Galileo. I don't have any figures for the shuttle yet. I could build, now see, here's a thing, because I just got that bridge model, and that bridge model has 1/32 scale figures in it that I could swap into the chariot. I could put Will and John on the bridge of the Enterprise. All of these possibilities boggle the mind. And that's where we're going to finish this week. This was admittedly a filler project. It was a filler project because I needed something to do in between finishing last week's and starting the Grissom, which will be next week's project. Grissom closely followed by the Hawk, since they both arrived at the same time and they both need new template sets. It should go pretty quickly because, obviously I'm going to start with the template sets that I have for those and just blow them up. But we'll talk about that next week. Right now we're going to talk about this the Chariot. Now this, like I said, 1/32 scale Chariot, coming soon from Doll and Hobby. Builds up to a nice little companion piece if you are serious about making your crash site diorama with the Jupiter 2. That would be a perfect little, if you wanted to make the whole campsite, that would be a perfect complement for that. With figures that, like I said, could fit in the shuttle, could fit it. This John would look very nice at the helm of the Jupiter 2 if you haven't sealed up your Jupiter 2 kit yet, or if you feel a need to go out and buy another one and build it, knowing that you could put this John Robinson in the pilot chair. I did not glue. I'm being very careful because I did not glue down the roof rack yet, and I don't know that I will at this point. But there you go, nice little. But a good week filler, a good shelf filler. It's a nice small size. It'll fit on the shelf beautifully. And you get finally an in-scale robot that is accurately proportioned. We have seen small robots before, but they were not accurately proportioned. So that would look good on the flight deck of your Jupiter 2. This Will Robinson would look exceptionally good on the flight deck of your Jupiter 2. But then again, I could have them milling around the shuttlecraft, the Galileo. That would be fun. A little bit of 60s crossover action there. So next week, promise, we will be heading full steam into the Grissom again. The official Grissom this time. So until then, be good to each other, be safe, be smart. Be back next time.